tapobhi kshina papanam shantanam vitaraginam mumukshu namapekshoyam atmabodho vidhiyate. The treatise of the knowledge of the self, this Atmabodha, is composed to serve the needs of those whose sins are removed by austerities. Tapobhi kshina papanam, tapaha, through austerities, whose sins are eradicated, removed through austerities. Shantanam, who are calm. Vitaraginam, who are free from desires, and who have the yearning for liberation. Mumukshunam apekshoyam. The mumukshunam, which is known as the yearning or the desire for liberation. So these are the qualities of a spiritual aspirant. To the extent a student is endowed with these qualities, the capacity of a student to receive the knowledge becomes more conducive. Your mindset, your preparedness is there so that you receive the transcendental knowledge. So you must understand the entire transaction is happening from a man of unconditioning to a state of conditioning. We are conditioned by the equipments of your body, mind, and intellect. We all are conditioned with our own ego. We are conditioned by our limited perceptions. And here is a master who is unconditioned, who is attuned to the self, who is rather established in the self. So for all practical purposes, there cannot be a transaction from an unconditioned to a conditioned state. Just like, can there be a transaction between a waker and a dreamer? Here is a man who has woken up to that state of the reality, and we're all still caught up in the ignorance of the waking state, akin to a man sleeping. You have woken up and you know that, let's say, just imagine this. Let's say all of us are sleeping in one room. All of us are sleeping. We all have gone for a camp and we all decided we all will stay in a bunker style, bunker beds. So all of us in one long stretch of accommodation. We all are resting. And Padminima, suddenly she gets up with some noise. She gets up at 12 o'clock. And she gets up and she's concerned and she just wants to know, what is that noise? And as she gets up and wanting to inquire, she makes a little noise and Maniji gets up. The moment Padminima gets up, what does she realize? She realizes that she has woken up. At the same time, she realizes that nobody else has woken up. Everybody is still in sound sleep. A few moments later, when Maniji gets up, Maniji knows that he has woken up. He also knows that Padmini has woken up, and they both know that they both have woken up. They also know that none of us have woken up. And there is only a communication between Padminima and Maniji because they both have woken up. Rest all, there is no communication. So there can only be a communication, there can only be a transaction at people of same plane of consciousness. Remember this. There cannot be any transaction when you are switched in a different plane of consciousness, when you are lodged in a different state. There cannot be any communication. Isn't that simple to understand through the example? When somebody is asleep, you are woken up, you can't communicate. You will have to wait until they wake up to have a transaction or communication of some degree. Now, here are men who have realized, who have gone beyond the waking, dream, and deep sleep states. They have gone to the state known as the Turiya, the fourth, and they are trying to communicate from an unconditioned state to a one who is conditioned. All of us are conditioned. What are the chances of you being able to understand what they're conveying. Very, very difficult. Very unlikely that you will fathom what all they're trying to convey. We will not be able to. Let's understand why. Because you and I are conditioned. Let's accept it. So in order to make the most of this opportunity to be able to understand and relate to what these men are saying, you'll have to refine, you'll have to attune, you'll have to adjust your receptacles so that your best chance of able to receive what they are saying. If you want to stand any chance, you'll have to be at your best so that you're able to get close to what these men are trying to convey. Because remember, it is happening from two different states, from fourth state to the third state. It's not possible. In spite of that, these men have done such a fabulous job in laying that great wisdom so that we all can be inspired, and all can be drawn to that state these men are trying to remind us of. It's a fabulous effort. And that one thing that drew them to commit to pass on this knowledge to us is they know that as much as it was their birthright, it is also your birthright. And they also understand that you are caught up in ignorance, and they just want to pull us out of that ignorance we are caught up in with great love, with great spirit of concern they have for us. Unimaginable love. In fact, such unconditional love. They don't expect, a guru doesn't expect anything in return. A true guru. So there's nothing that you can do to him. The only thing you can, in fact, the greatest thing you can ever do to a guru is to transform yourself. The only way you can pay back to guru is to realize yourself, because that is what a guru wants from you, is to uplift yourself. You may say, sir, realization is too far-fetched, but at least are you doing your part to evolve? So keeping that in mind, the very first verse gives qualities of a student which makes him worthy of receiving this ATMABODHA, because this ATMABODHA is only designed to cater to those class of people. Which class of people? He says, those people who have removed their sins through living a life of austerity. I've already mentioned this. I'm just briefly going through it. Tapas is twofold. Tapas is the capacity to conserve your energy, which is being dissipated currently into unproductive channels. So the first element of tapas is where you conserve your energy. Now, how do you conserve your energy? By recasting your whole purpose of life. When you have a certain vision of life, when you envision a larger purpose, when you have this higher knowledge, you'll understand the frivolous efforts that consume your life and your time. How futile is your life and your pursuits? What is it that keeps fascinating you? You understand the futility of your pursuits. Then you realize you want to withdraw from them so that you can conserve the energy which is dissipated into unproductive channels. So the first step is for you to start realizing that, is this activity a dissipation? How many of you consider whatever activities you're engaged in right now as dissipation of energy? All of us will have very valid reasons to say, sir, isn't it true? Isn't it that the Shastras tell us that we should perform our duties? As a father, I have a duty. As a manager, I have a duty. As a grandparent, I have a duty towards my grandchildren. No. So I'm just doing my duty. Chumma, you're buttering your own attachments. Can you just drop them like a hot plate and just move on? What about your higher obligation of realizing yourself? Doesn't that bother you? Sacrificing that purpose at the cost of just changing nappies and diapers? Is that what you want? Not that you should not enjoy. It's just another toy. You're getting entertained with grandchildren. Everything in your life is only grandchildren. You will tell Guruji, when you become one, you will know. I'm not trying to impress you all. When my daughter was born, when wife came for her delivery, we were in Malaysia those days, and she came for delivery to India. I did not see my daughter for close to over 4 months or 3 months over. I did not come for the delivery. I was not there for all that which happens, the functions and the get together and whatever. I was not here. I told my family I am not available. I was busy doing nothing. I don't have a job. As you know, I'm a jobless fellow. So I was just, whatever work I was carrying on, I was doing. And I took a conscious decision that I'll not be available. I only saw my daughter 4 months after, when I went to receive her at the airport. Just to check, what are my emotions? Are my emotions playing tricks with me? Can I put aside my emotions and pursue a cause which I believe in? Or am I just trying to camouflage this pursuit and just trying to create a euphoria over nothing? If I'm serious, I will be ready to put everything aside and pursue this cause. And I was very clear. Not a moment did I feel that I missed something. Though whenever this topic comes up, always I am at the receiving end. So I quickly will switch the topic. So even today, after I go back to my home, there will be some prasadam I'll get. So I keep receiving prasadam rest of my life. The prasadam from the home ministry, which everybody are very familiar with. Maniji, you also are very familiar, isn't it, Subramanian sir? Mani sir and Subramanian, both, everybody is familiar, so you don't have to mention about it. Now, what I'm trying to get at is the capacity to consider an act of discipline. I consider it as a dissipation of energy. You may say, so what are you talking? As a father, is it not your obligation? I know my obligations. I also know what to prioritize my obligations. And I'll be there as a father to protect her, to provide for her rest of my life. I'll be there for that. But that doesn't mean at any point you allow yourself to be carried away by an emotion. And even if I had been there, it wouldn't mean that I was wrong or I'm committing a sin, but it was just a measuring tool just to check myself, not to cause any discomfort or inconvenience to others, not intended at all. So how do you go about even considering an action as dissipation of energy? What do you consider an action? Now you may say it's a priority for you. I'm interested in stocks. I'm constantly playing stock market. Is that your time pass? Just because you have wealth, you can just play with it? You can do better by serving the purpose of a larger cause. Just satisfying your interest because you have enough funds to float around and play and entertain yourself. That is your mental capacity. That's what your level is. You got to be smart enough to be able to visualize what is limiting your perception, not able to visualize anything grander. So tapas is conserving the energy, and having conserved, you redirect that energy for a higher purpose, for seeking something greater. So withdrawal from the lower and investing in the higher. It is a smart investment. You want to get to the higher, you must practice tapas. So tapas is announcing to the world, I am not available for all non-essential activities. I'm only available for those that takes me to the higher. Rest of it, I'm not available. No, thank you. I'm not interested. That kind of a firm conviction, that's tapas. Secondly, he says, Shantanam, whose mind is calm. Now, whose mind is calm? Only those people who are introverted by nature. When your focuses and attention is on the extroverted nature, means outward world. When you're extroverted, you're only interested in correcting the world outside. You're only interested in finding faults with the world outside. An extroverted mind finds faults with the world. An introverted mind looks within. And one who looks within will not want to waste his time in finding faults with others, because he realizes there's so much that needs to be done within. And I've enough wasted my time. So I will not want to waste my time in finding faults with others. And one who is introverted, his mind is instantly calm. The moment you're extroverted, your mind becomes agitated. Remember this principle. The moment you're outward, your mind is agitated. The moment you turn inward, your mind becomes peaceful. Thirdly, he says, so the first is at the physical level. Shantanam, tapas is at the physical level. Shantanam, which is calmness at the mental level. Free from desires is at the intellectual level. Now, free from desires, it's not at the absolute level. If you're already free from desires, you already reached the goal, isn't it, of realization? When they say free from desires, a capacity where you don't fall a prey to the mind and its demands. You don't fall a prey to the greed and obsession and lust and wanting that more and more and more. So, how does one get free from desires? At a relative level, please. How does one get free from the onslaught of desires? It's an onslaught. Because unless and until you are free from desires, you're not qualified for this ATMABODHA. This is what Adi Shankaracharya is saying. So you can't be running from morning to evening, chasing your own personal desires, and then end of the evening, I come and teach you all, Pratasmarami. I can't do that the morning and do this in the evening. Either I do that wholeheartedly or either I do this wholeheartedly. I can't do both, isn't it? So I want to teach ATMABODHA. I must think of ATMABODHA right through my day, right through my life, right through my actions. Throughout, it must resonate. So I must constantly think of the knowledge of the self, not my desires. Now, how to get rid of desires? How to be free from desires? The onslaught. I'm only trying to qualify it by saying how to be free from the onslaught of desires. Yeah, Tinkima.
So we redirect to a higher cause. We can't stop desires from arising, but we don't dwell in that. We don't give in to them. We redirect to a higher purpose or a higher goal.
Yes. So the only way you will get free from desires is you replace a selfish desire with an unselfish desire. That's about all. You replace a selfish purpose with an unselfish cause. So if you want to get rid of the lower, you must replace it with a higher cause. So the action is the same. Whether am I acting just to satisfy my selfish desires, or am I doing this action to satisfy an unselfish cause? Actions don't change. Remember this. Huh? Spirituality is not changing your actions. Actions, be true to your dharma. If you're a housewife, you're a housewife. If you're a butcher, you're a butcher. You're a carpenter, do carpentry. If you're a singer, you sing. You're a painter, you paint. If you're a philosopher, philosophize. Do your dharma. Whatever your dharma is, do that. But while you're doing, don't do that just to satisfy your selfish desires. Satisfy that to serve a larger cause. So act is not to gratify your selfish desires. It is to embrace an unselfish cause. And there is that element of sacrifice. So what you're sacrificing is you're sacrificing your limited self, you're sacrificing your limited ego, you're sacrificing your own limited self for a larger cause. So what you lose is lower, what you gain is the higher. Are you willing to go through the grind of dropping the lower? That's a real acid test. Once anything can happen to me, I don't mind. I want to put that cause beyond me. I want to put that cause above me. I want to put my organization above me, not me. The company is not paying me for the past 6 months. But I will continue to serve the organization because I know the organization going through challenging times. I have put the organization's interest above my own personal interest. Let me dig deep into my savings to survive this difficult times, rather than complaining that the organization is not providing for me. Or you can say the organization is only providing 20% of my pay, 30% of my pay, or 50% of my pay. Am I complaining about it? Or do I understand the challenging times the organization is going through? Let me make the organization sail through these challenging times. So you are thinking of the higher, not your personal interest. That is how slowly but surely you will replace your selfish desires with a higher cause. And for that, it requires phenomenal sacrifice. It is not that you're protecting your interest and then you're doing a cause. No. In fact, you must be willing to think beyond yourself at any point. That's when you truly grow. Oh, all my needs are met. I would like to be of help. Can I be of any help to you? Everything I have provided for, everything is taken care of. I just want to give a little bit of my time. It's just an entertainment. What are you willing to sacrifice to serve the cause? What are you willing to sacrifice? Ask yourself, what are you willing to sacrifice to serve a larger cause? A cause you believe in. I don't want to impose a cause onto you. A cause you believe in. To what length can you go? That is how you will truly grow out of your own selfish desires. Otherwise, the strong undercurrent of desires constantly keep pulling you down. So I can be a very strong swimmer, but if I'm trying to swim across a river which has a strong current, the current is so strong it will keep pulling me down, isn't it? I need to be extraordinarily strong not to be pulled down by the undercurrent of the water. So the undercurrent of your desires is a strong undercurrent. You have to be extremely strong swimmer not to be sucked into that undercurrent of selfishness and desires. Constantly sail through above it, constantly above it. If you lose at any moment, you'll be sucked into it. You lose your awareness, you're sucked into it. You fall a prey to it. So it requires phenomenal conviction to be able to serve a cause, and then you are free from desires. And then the fourth, he says, mumukshunam. This knowledge is also designed to serve the needs of people who have this yearning for liberation. Look at the word yearning. Yearning, it's just not a mere desire. How do you describe yearning? Subramaniam sir, how would you have any words to convey what the English word yearning means?
How do I put it? That deep, pyas, the deep pyas within us, that this alone is what I need. That pyas, as Kabir says, that pyas must be there.
The thirst.
The thirst, yeah.
Thirst, the deep thirst, a very deep calling, a very strong calling, isn't it? The yearning, that burning desire. It's a burning desire. It's not something which can be quenched. It's not something which can be satisfied. That kind of an urge. It's not a passing whim or a fancy. You may have once in a while, oh, I want to have an ice cream. Chalo yaar, I think weather is nice and I would like to have a mango ice cream. You go, you satisfy the desire and come. But here is a desire which cannot be satisfied.
Yeah.
It will consume, the fire in that desire will consume every other desire. That's the beauty of this desire. Now, yearning for liberation, what kind of a desire is it? It is. Maniji, or Subramaniam sir, what kind of a desire it is?
This alone. Nothing else should come in the way. Still not at that, but...
Sir, a boy falls in love with a girl, he also thinks, this alone is life. Nothing else.
That is not yearning. That is blind love.
He is very
yearning
clear.
Desire would think of, like you said, a sum total of all these things, and then knowing who I really am, and why did I come here for? And do I justify my very existence here, my birth and all that? Am I going anywhere near that? May not be able to do that much as people of realization do. But then what is my step? The regular audit, and then seeing with all the practices, the morning rituals, the getting up and all that, step by step, and then measuring ourselves also. How deep is it? Am I slipping?
I get what you're saying, sir, entirely. The question I'm asking is what kind of a desire it is. Remember, yearning for liberation is known as a transcendental desire. Every other desires, all other desires are terrestrial, are plural, are multifold, are all worldly. This only one desire is transcendental desire. It's only one. It's not more than one, only one desire. So
Only one.
It's actually this one against the whole lot of worldly desires. Is one against the infinite or multifold or endless desires. You must understand what it is, first of all. So this mumukshutva is a transcendental desire. It is the ultimate, as Soumyama is saying, is the ultimate desire. Means it's the desire for the ultimate goal of realization. And here is this desire which is measured by what determines the strength of this desire. Just like any desire you have which can be weak or strong, so also this desire can be strong or weak. My question is, what is it that measures the strength of this yearning for liberation? Is also a desire. It's a only transcendental desire. What determines the strength of it? Vijay Raghavanji, any idea?
Extent to which we are willing to totally devote ourselves to it.
How would you know that? What is it that determines it?
So the extent we can, we are able to focus on it. Our obsession.
It's sort of an obsession, yes, but in a positive sense. Obsession always has
Yes,
a negative connotation in a positive sense.
Yeah, negative sense. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So what is it in us that measures it? I'm just trying to be a bit technical here, but I get what you're saying. You've actually conveyed the spirit of it.
Yeah.
But in technical terms, what determines, in fact, we have actually had a bit of discussion. We have spent some time on it earlier in some group discussion. Or earlier I mentioned that the real measure of the strength of your desire for liberation is measured by how strong is your subtle intellect. I think Ima has rightly answered it. Constantly, Annapurnama is saying, constantly picking up opportunities to gain knowledge and raise the level. It is much more intense than to begin with. Yes, it's much more intense. As intense was as, the famous, the story of what was Buddha before he became Buddha. What was Buddha before he was Buddha? Annapurnama. What was Buddha before he became Buddha?
He was a prince.
He was a prince. He was Prince Siddhartha.
He was a prince.
Prince Siddhartha, wasn't he?
Yes. Yes.
What did he feel? What was his attitude? What was his perception to that royal life he was leading?
He was stoic. He was not so very very happy or very sad. In fact, he feels sad when he sees suffering all around him, and he realizes then his calling is elsewhere.
His calling is elsewhere. Yes. So he felt sort of, as we have used this word before, a sense of suffocation. He realized that there was a greater purpose. It aroused many questions, queries, inquiries for which he didn't have answers. He wanted to find a solution to many that baffled his understanding. So being in the best position of your life, you can feel that sense of suffocation. And he felt that, and he embarked on a journey. And thank God he did that. There was the great Buddha. So I did mention in the past, a measure of this desire for liberation is measured with a sense of suffocation, a sense of uneasiness. And when do you feel a sense of uneasiness? Gayatri Ma, when do you feel the sense of this suffocation or uneasiness?
When we are not at all happy. Yeah, when we are not happy with whatever we are doing, or just uncomfortable with whatever we are doing it.
Yeah. At times we all go through this, you don't feel good what you have done, or don't feel good certain moments of your life where you feel sick about yourself. Why am I not doing the right things? Or why am I behaving like this? Or why am I like this? You feel uncomfortable about your own being, isn't it? Now, that's in a relative sense. But imagine everything is going so beautifully well. You had an illustrious career. You have got a substantial savings. You have got a very good name in the corporate industry. The people still talk about the integrity and the values with which you worked in the corporate world. You are members of all the prestigious clubs. You have children established in the world in the best of places. They're doing exceedingly well in their career. Their family life is wonderful. Their children, your grandchildren are well. Your social life is well. Everything is well. You can imagine all that and enhance it to a very high level. Like a parent would come and say, oh, my children are very well settled. They make a lot of money. They have got a secure job. He's got a huge villa. He's got this, he's got that. I've got this, I've got that. I'm a permanent member of this and that. All this. In short, imagine life of Siddhartha as a prince. Everything is well. Do you feel a sense of suffocation? In that, you should feel a sense of uneasiness. Is it all the purpose of life? If you are not able to satisfy and serve and fulfill this purpose of trying to seek the self, you will feel the suffocation. So suffocation is measured with the actual strength of your desire not being met. I repeat, suffocation is felt when this desire for liberation is not met. That means there must be a strong urge, and for some reason you're not able to meet it. Therefore, you feel a sense of discomfort, uneasiness, or uncomfortable where you are. If you're very comfortable and you're not feeling a suffocation, what do you conclude, Gayatri Ma?
We are a materialistic person, desires with the worldly vices, and we are happy in the world.
Can you answer this? You're very right. Can you answer this with reference to the yearning for liberation?
You have no desire for liberation.
Either is there no desire or it's a very meek and mild. It doesn't have the yearning. It is just a mild fascination. What do you do the rest of the week? Let's say I'm only coming one class a week, or one satsang, or a few satsang. What do you do in between? Where is your thoughts? What is occupying you? Where is your mind? What is your actions? Where is your focus? What is it that fascinates you? You've got to find out. So either the desire is met or not met, because these are the two possibilities. Whenever you have a desire, either you can fulfill it or unfulfill it. When desire is fed, your desire gets stronger and you feel there is a greater urge to embark on this journey. When desire is not met, you will feel a sense of suffocation, uneasiness. You should understand this. Innately, you should be able to feel what they are saying here. So one who feels that sense of suffocation, uneasiness, is ready for this knowledge. It is not a part-time pastime activity. Spirituality is not a part-time pastime. Spirituality is a full-time job. It's a full-time awareness. Are you ready to invest your full time into it? That is when you're ready for it. It's not a part-time pastime. Not at all. It's a full time. Either do it or don't do it. It can't be achieved with a casual approach. You can't take to it. So you will feel that sense of incompleteness with everything that's your way. You still feel it can't fill that void. And then, in any traditional textbook, there are 4 constituents which actually explain the theme of the book. In any traditional textbook like this is a very traditional orthodox text, there are 4 ingredients which constitutes the theme. They explain the theme of the book, which is known as the ATMABODHA Chatushtayam. Right? Now, in these, the 4 elements, the first element is Vishaya. The Vishaya is the subject matter. The subject matter of the text is ATMABODHA, which is the knowledge of the self. The second is Prayojaha or Phala. What is the object of fruit gained from this effort? The Phala or the fruit gained of this effort is Moksha, liberation. The third is Sambandham. What is the relationship between Vishaya and Prayoja? What is the relationship? The relationship is the knowledge of the self, Atmavidya. So first is Vishaya, the subject matter. Second is Prayoja or Phala, which is the fruit, which is Mumuk, which is the liberation, which is the goal, the Moksha. The third is Sambandha between the first and the second, which is the knowledge of the self, which gives you the Moksha. And the fourth is Adhikari. So there are 4 other qualities which gives the qualification of a student, Adhikari of a student. Now, this is all not mentioned, but it is understood. Like in any traditional text, these 4 elements appear. Now, what are the 4 qualities which make a student an Adhikari? The first is Viveka. Viveka is the discrimination, an intellectual discrimination between real and unreal, between the lower and the higher. The second is Vairagya, there is detachment. The third is Shad Sampatti, the 6 qualities. The Shad Sampatti are 6 qualities. The 6 qualities are the calmness, self-control, self-withdrawal, endurance, faith, and tranquility. I repeat, the 6 qualities, the Shad Sampatti are calmness, self-control, self-withdrawal, endurance, faith, and tranquility. These are known as the Shad Sampatti, the 6 qualities. And then the fourth, the last, is Mumukshutva, which is the desire for liberation. So these are the 4 elements which are constituted in any traditional text which convey the theme of the very book. So all these, when you go through these 4 aspects, you get what is the theme of the text. Now we are just in the first verse. Now don't be taken aback. The rest of the text is fairly easy, we could sail through, but at the very first verse, he clearly gives us the necessary requirements. He pitches the tone so that you're ready for the study. All right? Are we all clear? Does anything need a clarification or repetition? You all got it? Perfect. Okay.